Polite Enquiries. Jarrod, Kimber, George Dobell, Headingley. Addy says, what are you and Jarrod Kimber, that's me actually, he's talking to you, going to do about the impending reign of evil at the ICC? I'm going to send Angelo Mathews, because he seems to be able to handle anything.
And I'm going to tut and write some strongly worded articles.
Daniel says, where do you rate Angelo Mathews' ton? It's pretty high. It's really, really, really high. It's one of the best innings I've seen in modern cricket.
It was really good, and they deserve a lot of credit.
Just the way he just put the ball wherever he wanted. It was almost like he was yawning boundaries while England was trying so hard. It was really odd. You don't want to talk about anything good about Sri Lanka. You're just Stevie or you're Vedam for England. Smarty says, post-lunch tactics, inane, moronic, stupid, crap, thoughtless or unimaginative. I couldn't even get that one out.
Well, I don't want to be too critical of Cook, to be honest, just because, while I think he might as well have not been there, no.
I don't want to be harsh on him.
I do think, well,
had he not existed, the same thing would have happened.
Well, had there not been a captain out there, it wouldn't have been any worse. Well, Anderson was as poor as I've seen him in several years. Broad was poor. Matt Pryor flapped like a seal. Well, I don't really know what his tactics were.
I like it when Stuart Broad was asked to bowl around the wicket down the leg side for wides. Mahesh says, did England simply expect the Sri Lankan collapse, similar to the Thailand collapse in the first innings? Yes, they did expect that, and I think they were right to expect that, but that doesn't explain what happened.
How does a team that hasn't won in 7 tests, recently lost to Holland, be complacent? How does that happen?
Daniel says, has Harath outbatted Cook and Thiramani this series? Yes.
Yes.
Gavin says, surely Cook will resign if we end up losing at home to Sri Lanka. I like how he's still got a little bit of optimism. If we end up losing. What a comeback it would be.
I think we're in the end days of Alistair Cook's captaincy.
Andy and Brum says, when will Giles Clarke admit to being at a low ebb? When we lose this match or to India? What I like about that question is that they went to New Era because they wanted to, change their side and have a positive vibe about it. And then they're going to have to change that and downgrade New Era to low ebb.
We're below a low ebb.
Alvaro says, Cook's done like a kipper, right? Rob says, Cook, what is the point? James says, Alistair Cook, is that it? Killed the captain to save the batsman. Matt says, what does Cook bring to the party? And Freddie Wild says, will the ECB sack Cook as captain if England lose? If not, will he resign? Will Bell be any better?
I don't think they'll sack him.
May don't have to.
He's not a great tactician, okay? He's not. But he took a side to India and from 1 down led them to victory away from home. That's an amazing thing to do. Very few sides win away from home these days. And to do that, he's a lead from the front captain and his batting form has deserted him.
Can I ask you the last part of this question?
Yeah.
Will Bell be better?
Yes, I really genuinely believe he will be.
I agree. Toby says, will Sri Lanka get recognition and praise they deserve for a fantastic turnaround? Will everyone just discuss Cook? Look, they're not going to, and it's not their fault because they have come from a long way back and they've obviously played very well. But you have to understand how monumental. Look, basically, vomit on yourself right now, right? Look at your stomach. That's what England were today.
It's a bit early for that.
Nicholas says, if Sri Lanka win tomorrow, where will this series rank among their cricketing achievements? Basically, you're bowling for them. Vaughan and others, and, I've made fun of their attack at times. Also, I've loved their attack at times. But they're not a great side. So to come to England and win, even if England is at a New Era low ebb, is a magnificent effort.
But they bowl better than England.
Yeah, they bowled smart.
It's not like they've been lucky. No, they deserve it in every way. Good luck to them.
Jack Mandel says, could this test be like the 51 all-out experience? A bit of a wake-up call. Do you need a wake-up call in your New Era for your low ebb?
That was the first test after Peter Moore's, yeah?
Ooh.
And this is the first test of Peter Moore's. Second test, sorry. There's a common theme, isn't there? They're not about to sack Peter Moore's or Paul Downton or Alistair Cook. They've put too much at stake. There are too many egos behind them at stake, aren't there?
Yeah.
But
Harry says, is England's capitulation since last summer the fastest ever a good side has been dismantled?
Sure, that's a good shout.
It's a really good question. I'm trying to think, but most sides don't fall apart this quickly. The West Indies hung on for a while. It took Australia a few years to dismantle. England were never even on that level. So I think maybe sides of England's level have disappeared this quickly before, but it's still pretty brutal. Philip Brown says, is this a car crash? If so, how many vehicles?
Several vehicles and some livestock.
Cricket Zimbo says, would you take a day off work and pay 25 plus to watch that England side? I would, but then I'm not English.
It was entertaining, to be fair, but not many people did. You're right. I mean, there were, what, 3,000 in the ground? Are the English public disconnected with the England team? And if so, should the England team get a new public?
As I've said before, surely this team is reminiscent of Broken Britain. Joe Williams says, if you had to use an animal to represent England's performance, what would it be? The spineless jellyfish. Seems a bit unfair on the spineless jellyfish, actually.
Spineless jellyfish everywhere are taking legal advice.
Matthew Jensen says, George, was your long absence from Polite Enquiries because you were secretly on your honeymoon with Nick Compton? Yes. Andy and Brum says, if KP doesn't feel a little bit of Schadenfreude, does that make him a greater man than us?
I think he prefers a Pinot Noir.
Of course he feels it, and he's quite right to.
Although, if he really wanted to get his way back in, he wouldn't do the book he's doing just yet, and he would score some runs.
Bishal Mishra says, is Prasad from a good family? We'll see you tomorrow.